Imagine this for a second. It's almost dinner time and you're feeling hungry. You're making up a shopping list, you're thinking of what you're going to eat, and then you get in a car. You drive to the local supermarket, you wait in line, you buy your stuff, and then you bring it back home. You start cooking your stuff, you get it ready, and then you toss it in the oven, you give yourself a nice timer for an hour, and then you go about your business. And then you come back 1 hour later to check if the food's ready, and you open up the oven, and your food's not there. Okay, so unless you live with a food thief, chances are this has never happened to you. But the point of this visual exercise is to get you thinking about all the other things in life that, unlike food, are not as linear in nature, whose outcome is reliant on many other external factors, and therefore outside of your direct control. Most of what we endeavor to do in life is intrinsically motivated by some sort of reason, by something that we hope to get out of it, by some feeling, direct result, or an outcome, money, status, or just generally being a good person to those around you, which also makes us in turn feel better about ourselves. But take away the direct result and return on your investment, and the question still stands: would you still do it? Let's look back at the cooking example. That's a pretty safe environment and it's a pretty linear thing to do. In fact, once the food is ready and in the oven, you pretty much only have to worry about not burning it. But imagine if you actually had that variable of not knowing whether the food was going to be there at the end of the day, if your effort was going to be rewarded with that which you sought to get out of it to begin with. In life, we pretty much do the same thing. We try to minimize variables and to bulletproof ourselves against failure, rejection, and play a safe game. We go to school, we go to university, we try to learn employable skills. Basically, we're trying the best we can to survive and to guarantee a good life for ourselves and for those around us. In fact, as humans, we tend to be a lot more risk averse than pleasure seeking. So we tend to fall into a place of coping rather than a place of thriving. We try to minimize risks to maximize outcomes. But the thing is, uncertainty is what stimulates creativity and innovation, and it's actually burning some of those bridges and straying off the beaten path that sometimes has and holds the biggest rewards for us. And this brings me to the topic of the video, which is uncertainty in the current times and uncertainty in general. This situation, if you look at in detail, is not really much different than day-to-day life. It just kind of amplifies something that's always intrinsically there, which is the lack of a guarantee whatsoever, albeit sometimes more or less obvious, and the fact that most of the things that we endeavor in life are nothing but safe bets and calculated guesses at best. And even in the cooking example from before, you could stick to a recipe, you could play it safe, but the truth is that those who push the boundaries of the creative environment are those who dare to stray away from the beaten path, to know the recipes, to know the rules, and then to have the audacity and the courage to break them and to discover something new at the fringes of that domain. I struggled with this as a freelancer and in my sort of previous job and life situation, because it took me quite a while to quit my unfulfilling job, because I always said I needed a plan, I needed some sort of certitude over the future and a plan B and a clear direction of what I want to do next. But if I'm honest with myself, the moment I embraced that sort of uncertainty and threw myself into the unknown is the moment when I invited this new curiosity, a new way of looking at things. And now, once again, this current times just make us look at things in a different way. So if we feel like there's nowhere to look for guidance, there's no sort of clarity over the future and what's going to happen, that's pretty true, because we can't really rely on other people to tell us on the internet, for example, or even among our friends, because the truth is, at the end of the day, no one has lived through these times. And that's the case in normal everyday life as we used to know it as well. The truth is, no one can really predict the future and know what's best of us for us, and we don't really know that either. It's something that you can only discover and explore. So like with everything else in life, uncertainty is something that you can look at in a very empowering, or quite the opposite, disempowering perspective. It's something that you can embrace and accept for what it is, and realize that it invites you to live a different position, a more satisfied position, albeit more uncomfortable. Okay, there's a discontinuity here because I actually had to think this one through, because when I started recording this video, it was a very specific question for myself included for the times we live in now. The point of this video was never to give you practical tips on how to deal with uncertainty, but rather to shift your perception of what uncertainty is and to help you understand and realize that actually this is prevalent everywhere in life anyway. It's literally the definition of life itself. I personally believe that humans are very resourceful beings, and really we can find our own solutions. So there's no point in me telling you solutions for your particular case and situation, but rather you finding out what's blocking you, finding out what uncertainty, what way it carries for you, and obviously coming up with your own sort of safety nets in as much as necessary, and also realizing that each safety net is a chosen self-imposed limit, because within safety nets you can cope but you can't thrive. And like I said, in life we do it, and in these situations we might be prone to try at all costs to minimize losses and to ensure stability and continuity and survival. But if anything, I suggest and encourage you to look at it as a way to reevaluate things from a newfound position, from a new standpoint, to think things in a way that maybe you haven't before, because now you might not have a choice to anyway. These times can be leveraged. So I encourage you to do that. And if you've actually watched this far in the video, please do leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this. And I'll see you in the next video. Hope this addendum has been helpful.